welcome, Aaron, to your second individual lesson here. Thanks for joining here. This is my first time trying a full session, just individual focused. The last one kind of ended up that way, but my first stretch to the couch, I realized was kind of silly because I was the only one doing it. So, but for this one, we can have it totally customized to what you need and the equipment you have there. Do you want to try what we tried last time, or do you want to try something new this time in terms of stretches? Last time, I think we started with the neck stretch and then went to hip. Both of them, I think we got a little stuck on the initial, okay, how do you get to that relaxed point, that I call them the entry points. And, that's kind of the key. So, that's what I need to practice, is guiding people to an entry point. But I can do that from any body part, I think.
I would say definitely hips. Let's dive right into those hips and figure out how to fix that.
Sounds good. All right. So you're down on the floor there. Do hips.
Should I get in that pose there, like you're doing?
Sure. Let's start out with that. I think we had a little trouble with this one, but let me see if I can get you adjusted so that you're at a good point to start this one.
Because honestly, when I was a kid, I used to be able to tuck this all the way back and lay it down for that hamstring stretch.
Oh yeah.
Right now, when I tuck it this far back, it's hard to lay it flat like you. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong.
It's one that it took me a lot of different poses before I found one that I could get comfortable at. And even from this one, I'm not 100% relaxed at, but this is the closest one for me. So it might be a good starting point. And because it looks like right now you might be leaning back a little far. How does that feel on your wrists?
Well, I can't really touch my arms seem like they're either not long enough or I'm not in the right position to touch down. I'd have to lean back further.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and lean back, or
let's see. Now, right now my hands are touching and I'm mostly up straight. Maybe that doesn't quite work for you.
Did you say we could do Indian style or something? Last time, I forget.
That was an alternative, but for now, let's stick with this until we can see if we can find a good position for it.
I feel it mostly here on the inside of my leg. There's a lot of strain there.
Of your, looks like your leg that's pointed outward. Okay, I got you. Yeah, that's where I feel it on the other side for me personally. So
yeah. Let me try to flip it around. Honestly, this one's a little easier.
That one's a little easier.
Yeah.
That's your right knee pointing outward, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was doing first too, I think, wasn't I? Nope, I had it left outward. But let's do it that way so that we're matched. All right. So yeah, now what I want you to do is kind of use your hands and push into the ground a bit until you feel your body weight getting close to center. Because right now on this one, our goal to get set up is to have everything in here in the hips and abdomen be relaxed. And we can kind of allow other muscles to do some of the work of keeping us from falling down if in order to get to that place. So that's where you can kind of use your hands a little, shift yourself side to side real slowly so you feel the effects on your hips and your abs, to see if you can find the place where the least tension comes into your body.
Should my torso be perpendicular to the ground?
That's the place where, that's one thing where it can be, or it can be further back.
Okay.
So,
if you look at what's going on with my fingers,
uh-huh.
I have to lean back in order to get my palms on the ground because my arms seem like they're not long enough.
Okay, that might be part of what you're not seeing too. Let me show you kind of what I'm doing when I'm doing this right now. I'm not actually getting my palms on the ground. I'm kind of doing like that. So my fingers are on the ground and kind of that middle part of the hand is on the ground. But in order to give me a little more height, I'm letting the palms come up. So the wrists
That
are
actually helps. Yeah,
straighter.
I like that. Yeah, that helps.
Okay, cool. That's one way to do it. Another way is to use your fist.
Okay, yeah, I like that even better.
Yeah, I used to use that a lot, but then I started having trouble with swelling on the fingers right here.
Oh, shit.
I don't. If you have that trouble, you might want to switch to the fingers out mode. I do both to kind of give different parts a break on this. All right. So how are you feeling now?
A little awkward.
Mhm.
Just because I don't know what exactly what position I'm supposed to be in, but I feel better than I did before.
Okay. So
I guess right
now,
now I'm trying to be perpendicular, but it's hard to make my torso straight and even.
yeah. Yeah, don't worry about being straight. Don't worry about being perpendicular. Worry about muscles tightening up anywhere in your abs, hips, thigh area. If you focus only on that, can you tell me what you feel?
A little bit in the lower back, but predominantly that inside right here, the leg,
Okay.
between the knee and the groin on the inside of the hamstring.
Okay, inside of the hamstring. All right, I feel that inside of the hamstring. I personally, I don't feel the lower back, but that's okay. That means those two things are probably the first areas that you need to release in order to get progress on this stretch. So now, one thing that I find helps release some things like the lower back, especially, is when I key in on when I hear you say that, is I call this stretch the walking tripod. And that the reason for that is because you have almost all your body weight is going to be on three positions. One of them is your right butt cheek, and then your two hands. Is that what you're feeling right now? Is your weight on those 3 points?
Yeah, it is. I think maybe I'm trying to stay too straight. I think if I lean back, it eases the tension a little bit on the lower back, for sure. But the hamstring is still a problem.
Okay, yeah, and if you need to adjust a bit to let your lower back relax a bit. Now, one thing I want you to think of is with this tripod's a real strong, stable object that won't tip and can keep all your body weight up. And now, if you think of those three things, you kind of think of kind of the weight of things. It if your lower back was completely released, you could still be on those three tripod feet and still nothing would fall down. That's what I kind of want you to focus on, because what our goal in all this is to release unnecessary tension. And there's kind of a few steps to release that type of tension. One of them is one of the steps is to move into a position where you feel a little bit of that tension, a little bit being key. The next is to adjust a bit so that that tension can release. And then the third step is on a good breath, on your exhale, try and feel that tension release completely. Now, are you feeling the lower back at all right now?
No, not the lower back. I think my arms are getting a little tired just because like I might be a little weak. But I still feel that strain in the hamstring. I don't know if it's tension though. It's kind of like, let me just stop this for a second because I actually got a little tight. And
Sure.
actually gonna try to get my headphones one more time, a different pair. But real quick, what I'm trying to decide if it's tension or just strain is like when you're doing this and you go a little bit too far and you feel it right here. Is
Yeah.
that tension or strain? Because it almost feels like strain on my hamstring.
Um, it's kind of a combination of both. So now there wouldn't be any strain if you didn't have tension, but tension, the strain can come in as a secondary result of the tension. So that's something to kind of be aware of is, um, the human body is meant to be in these positions that we're doing right here. So you want to try that
Is it
position.
okay to switch sides or should I stay on the side that I was on? Just my
Um,
hamstring feels a little sore right now. I want to give it a break. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, let's go ahead and switch sides.
Okay.
This is my easier side for this one anyway, so that'll give me a little break.
The left pointing out.
Yeah,
This one. Okay.
for whatever reason, our bodies don't build up tension in a real symmetrical manner. So when we're going to release it, we can't always do it exactly the same on each side.
Yeah, because I would honestly say maybe I should switch back to the other side because this is a little too easy now. I mean, I there's definitely areas I could try to detect
Oh
tension,
no,
but it's
no,
nothing
don't.
like alarming like the other one.
Oh, okay, yeah, you don't want to think too easy. Too easy is good. What we want is really easy because we're just starting here. So if you can,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
always want to try and start from a relaxed position, and that will feel easy and like you're not doing a lot of work. And just remember, as we move to different positions, it'll feel like it's getting harder and it'll feel like you're working harder. But if you can try and tell yourself, you don't have to do that work. Whatever work you feel like you need to do, just think, my body's doing something weird there. It wants to tighten up, and there's no reason to. And if you can kind of negotiate with your body and say, you can kind of let it release, maybe at least partially when that happens. So anyway, just something to keep in mind. We often think of muscle strain and muscle fatigue when we're actually just feeling muscle unnecessary tightness. So something to keep in mind.
Okay.
But all right. So now do you feel that tripod again? Where you've got your left butt cheek and your two hands are holding up all your body weight?
Yeah, I definitely feel the tripod.
Okay, cool. So now remember, uh, now try shifting your weight a little bit between those 3 points of the tripod, just by using your arms entirely. Remember, everything down here in your hips and abs should relax. So you can use your arms by kind of pushing your hands into the ground a little bit. If you push both hands in, I feel more weight going onto that left hip and it coming off of the hands a little bit. Can you try that and see how it feels?
Yeah, I can kind of go back and forth. It's hard to tell if my torso is really staying still and relaxed though.
Well, don't worry about
I think
still.
what is it?
Don't worry about stillness. It can move. Remember, you can move muscles without them feeling tight.
Okay.
It's easy to forget that because our body kind of gets taught to tighten up when it moves certain ways. But there's a lot of movements we do. We don't feel any tightness, and it doesn't feel like the muscles are doing any work. There are, of course, muscles doing work, but what we want is to not feel any of them.
Okay.
So we want to be mindful of listening to them. be always real ready to hear if they tell us, hey, I'm feeling tight. But know that the goal is not to feel them, at least if we do, only real lightly. So I go back to that, when you're listening to your body and feeling how tight it is, you can kind of rate your tightness on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the tightness, 0, you don't feel anything. And you want to kind of keep your stretches between kind of like a 0 and a 2. If you go above 2, then my rule of thumb is if I feel tension releasing and not just getting tighter or just staying solid, then I might stay at a level 3 or a level 4 for a little bit. But most of the time you want to stay in that 0 to 2 range. So we do that by choosing our body pose and our body movement commands based on how tight they make us feel. So if we're kind of trying to stay in that optimal zone, you kind of make decisions about where to go. All right, so let's see, we're shifting our weight between the hands and the hip a little bit, real gently. I think you got a good feel for that. Now let's try shifting from one hand to the other. So now if we want a good amount of our weight under our left hand, I'll kind of push into the floor with my right hand a little bit. And now I feel my weight on my left hand and my left hip more. And the weight's kind of just a little bit on my right hand. Do you feel that?
Yeah, but I think my right butt cheek is kind of not on the ground, so I don't really feel that, but I do feel it on the left and right, the left hand and the left butt cheek.
But that's good. We'd be a quadruped if we had both butt cheeks on the ground. Eventually, from what I've read, we should be able to get both butt cheeks on there. Some people say, oh, you got to have both of them on there to start. But, for me, I can force my right butt cheek down, but it doesn't naturally want to go there yet because I'm not loose enough there yet.
I don't think I can. I would have to lean back and push to my right a little bit.
Yeah.
I think most of the limitation too, I feel, is in that hamstring area when I'm trying to push that butt cheek down.
Right. So, and how tight from 0 to 10 does it feel when you try and get that right butt cheek down?
It can go to a 10 depending on how far I push it. And I think I've got some contact, and it's probably at an 8, maybe a 7. I probably can't go any further though.
Okay, so that tells us that, hey, I'm not ready for that position. 7s or 8s are, in my opinion, kind of useless for stretching. That used to be where I would stretch at all the time because right above that, you're at pain threshold. And they always said, don't go far enough so you'll be in pain, but go just before that. To me, that's like a 6, 7, 8 level tightness. And it's not helpful. There's, our nerves are kind of like a massive network, like the internet or something. And if there's a high level of tightness, there's a huge number of muscles and connecting tissues that are firing nerve signals and telling you, I'm tight. And there's kind of just a big traffic jam. So you can't really feel what's going on in terms of, that lighter level tension where you can actually release stuff. So, okay, that's good. We've got our left butt cheek on the floor and our hands on the floor. Now, we're going to kind of walk our hands around our body a little bit. And we do that by shifting our weight away from the leg, if you will, really the hand in this case, that's going to lift up and move to the next position. Throughout this whole process, all you really should feel in terms of necessary sensations is the pressure on your two hands and a little bit of pressure on that left butt cheek. Just keep telling yourself everything else is unnecessary and I'm just not going to let it tighten up. It may tighten up anyway, but we'll try and prevent that.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start by getting my right hand to walk forward. So right now, if I lift my right hand up, my body's going to fall into it. So I'm going to start by pushing my right hand into the ground gently. So that the weight is primarily on my left butt cheek and left hand.
So I'm walking it towards the camera or away?
Towards the camera.
Okay. Maybe I should start further back then. That's pretty close to my butt cheek.
Okay.
So maybe like a half an inch, moving the right hand up a little bit.
You don't want to think of it moving up. You want to think of pushing it into the ground so that that pushes your torso to a position such that there's more, the weight could come off it and such that you could move that hand. That makes sense?
Yeah, I feel that. Of course, I feel it more on my left hand now, the weight.
Sure.
My right hand ready to move without too much other parts of my body moving or forcing the movement.
Okay.
I feel like my right arm is kind of free to move a little bit. I'll put some pressure on it down for now.
Okay, and now just gently lift it up. And your rest of your body is kind of balanced on the other 2 points of the tripod. And then place it out in front of your right knee. I'm a little off camera, but if you can kind of get a position similar to that.
Should I be touching the ground?
Yeah, so I'm touching it just with my fingertips.
Okay,
so,
touching my fingertips.
Yeah, because my arm's not quite long enough to get all my fingers all the way into the ground without going further than I'm comfortable. And now you've got your tripod again. Keep reminding yourself those 3 points. They're kind of in a line a bit now, right? The tripod's not quite as steady.
It's forming kind of like a triangle now.
Yeah.
You can put the tips of my fingers to my knee in straight lines.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got like that triangle shape.
Going this way. Pointing that way, yeah. I guess it did, yeah. But of course, not a lot of weights on my right arm or hand.
Right. So okay. now we're gonna trying to keep have this midsection be loose. We're just using our arms for this, and we're gonna shift more weight to our right hand if you can, so that the left hand can lift up. We're gonna do that again by pushing that left hand into the floor. And see if you can feel more weight onto that right hand. You'll still have some weight on your left hip, most likely.
My torso really wants to bend towards my right hand to help move the weight.
Bending is okay. Tightening up, you want to tell it, no, there's no need for that.
Okay.
And I just felt a little pop in my mid-back as I did that. As it wanted to help out, and I said, no, you can't. And it just kind of released
my body like a spring trying to push me backwards. So I really need to like pivot more weight to the front to get it on the right hand. Is that what I should do, or?
Well, you want to effectively push weight forward, but without using your lower body. Can you do that just using your hands and your shoulders and your arms?
Yeah.
Okay. And now if you've got enough weight off that left hand, you can gently lift it up and put it about the same position in front of you as your right hand. And Try and keep everything relaxed again. When I do that, I'm starting to feel lower to mid back, wanting to get involved there. And I'm telling it right now, hey, you don't have to do anything. The tripod has got us. I'm gonna even move out my left hand a little bit because I find that my torso wants to get involved in the balancing act here. And you want to keep telling it, no, you don't have to. Focus on those 3 points. Those are the only things that will hold your body up. Everything else that maybe wants to try and join in, like right now, I feel my lower back and glutes want to help out and push me forward. And I keep telling it, no, those 3 points have got me. What do you feel right here?
Feel like there might be some tension in the mid and upper back. There was definitely before. It was trying to take over in the control but I leaned more forward to put weight on my hands and it helped.
Okay,
But
cool.
I don't want to lean too much forward, so I still feel a little bit of tension in the back.
Yeah.
Right next to the shoulder blades, I guess.
Okay.
But honestly, it does feel kind of relaxing, a lot better than the backwards pose.
Cool. So we've taken our first 2 steps of this walking tripod. And now, once you're kind of comfortable in this up position with the hands forward, what I like to do is just gently let my elbows bend a little bit, real slowly, to kind of give a little stretch to that, especially feel it in my left hip and my lower back.
Yeah.
I feel wanted as I bend forward, they say, oh, I want to help out. I want to prevent you from falling. A lot of the unnecessary tension that I can kind of troubleshoot out, I realize my body wants to keep me from falling. Humans really do not want to fall. And there's parts of our brain that are just hardwired to do things that are unnecessary just to prevent that you might fall. And so when that happens, I always go back to that tripod. I feel, okay, those 3 points have all my body weight. There's nothing in my midsection or lower body that needs to do anything. See if you can relax now with those elbows just slightly bent. Take some good breaths. And I like to vary my breath size a bit when I'm trying to relax an area. So right now I'm at maybe a level 2 tension, wanting to get into level 3. So that's about as high tension as usually you want. Now, if I take a really big breath, it'll start pushing me into a level 3. So now I'm using my breath and doing different size breaths to kind of relax this position a little bit. Now, I mentioned if I try and do a really big breath, where I breathe all the way into my knees during that expansion, it kind of pushes me to like a level 3 tension, which is a little higher than we want for good stretches. So I'm gonna modulate that a bit and do real small breaths. Try and just allow my natural breathing to take over so that it doesn't try and push it into a higher level tightness. Our breath is really useful for modulating that tension level. Once you're at a point where you're at a good spot for stretching, often a bigger breath will get us into a slightly deeper stretch. But then when when we realize we're too deep, we're getting a level 3 or 4, you can make your breath smaller. And a lot of times that tension can release. But all right, so we don't want to stay here for too long to tire you out, because there are some muscles that if you don't use them a lot, might get tired. So now we're gonna walk our right hand back behind us. But starting out, I usually do one little step towards my right hand first. So again, to get the weight off my right hand, I'm gonna push into the floor a little bit until I feel the weight more on my hip and my left hand. And I'm just gonna place it next to it on the ground here.
So we're moving our right hand to the left hand?
Right. And remember not to use any of your lower body or middle section to hold yourself up as you're going between these, if you can avoid it. It kind of looked like briefly you might have been using it to hold yourself up, but I could be mistaken. You can do that. Walking the hands can be done quickly if that's helpful too.
Walk kind of like this, crab walk.
No, quickly. So you can go like that.
One more time.
So if we start out here, you can just go like that. That way you don't have to use 2 points of the tripod to hold yourself up for very long, which is harder to do relaxed. So, but if we just push in and move it, that's okay. Because we can move the upper body quickly. We're not worried about stretching the upper body right now. This is all about the hips and midsection. All right, so I've got my hands kind of together right now. If you want to get them set up.
Do I look like I'm in the right spot, or?
Yeah, you know, it's the right spot is kind of the one that feels gentle and that feels not too tight.
Well, I like this. It's relatively comfortable.
Where, if anywhere, do you feel tightness right now?
I guess a little bit of my lower back.
Okay.
But maybe if I come up a little bit, it helps.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, these are the kind of modifications you can make. You know, having your palms down to the floor is probably more comfortable for your hands. But remember, we're kind of sacrificing the upper body's comfort in order to get the lower body as comfortable as possible here. So yeah, I was up on my fingers at some points to get that maximum length. And then, but if you're comfortable enough, you can go down to your kind of the middle part of your hand, or where I saw you at was with your palms all the way down. So palms down is going to be the deeper stretch. But if that's too deep for your lower back, then you want to modulate it and push up a little bit. So we're just working on getting as comfortable as possible into this general position, regardless of how our hands or our shoulders feel. All right, and just take a couple breaths. Try a deep breath. Let everything release on the exhale. Feel where that lower back is. Kind of send that exhale to the muscles in that lower back. Tell it, hey, you can let go. It's okay. My hands and my hips have got my body. They don't have to get involved in holding us up. But before we get too tired there, if you haven't done this one a lot, It can be a little fatiguing on the upper body. So now we're going to want to walk our right hand back behind our left leg. So again, push the right hand into the floor so that now our body weight gets more onto the left hand and left hip. And then when it's ready, walk it back.
And then put weight on it.
Yep.
Okay.
When I do it, my weight kind of naturally falls onto it, but maybe that's learned a bit. So now feel that tripod again. See if you can relax it there as well. If your lower back's tightening up again, give it the next exhale. Tell it to release. See if you can convince it you can let go. This position is a little tiring on my right hand, so I'm going to walk my left hand back. But for this one, it actually helps to push in with my right hand to get the weight off the left. So I'm going to walk it back behind me here.
Yeah, I'm going to try that again there because I definitely use my lower part.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. And I just felt my lower to mid back pop a little bit as I did that. That's a nice pop, a good micro release. You want to listen to your body if you feel those type of things when you're stretching. It means you might have hit something good.
I felt this in the back when I was moving, but it's better now when I'm stationary and in the position.
Okay.
You seem to stay forward towards the camera a lot better than I do. I'm going to be backwards pretty soon.
Forwards. No, I'm pretty far backwards.
Huh? What's that?
Right now, most of my weight is on my left hand behind me there. But second amount is on my left hip. My right hand is it's not really holding weight, but it kind of prevents me from falling into the couch this way. But yeah, it only needs a tiny bit of weight right there. And again, you want to try and relax this pose. Feel those 3 points of the tripod. These are the only points that are going to feel any kind of pressure or tightness. Everything else, especially below your shoulders, can release.
Just kind of think of it like a push-up. Your toes and then your two hands. And the rest of you really just kind of stay still and relax, hopefully.
Yeah, but although with a push-up, you're actually trying to tighten all that stuff up in between there. So it's kind of like the opposite of a push-up. You know, you have your weight on there, but a push-up, you're trying to tighten everything in between your toes and your hands. Here, we're trying to loosen everything between your hip and your two hands.
So I feel a little tightness in the shoulder. I don't know, maybe if I need to alter my arm positions a little bit, or I did, and now it's a little bit better, but I don't know if that was the right thing to do.
If it's bothering you, you can adjust a little bit to loosen that tightness in the shoulder. I just kind of live with upper body tightness during this one. I kind of say, hey, my upper body's doing a little work so that my lower body can relax for once.
Okay,
and
that's good.
If you got the strength for that's fine. If not, feel free to adjust a bit.
No, I'm pretty sensitive, so I pick up on a lot of little pains, but I can endure it.
Okay. And now, next step, we're going to be back to the original pose. So our right hand is going to move. Right now, I don't have much weight on that right hand, but I'm going to push in a little bit just to kind of get my body weight kind of balanced between the other 2 points.
Okay.
And then quickly move my hand back here. And as soon as I press down, yeah, you don't even have to go nearly that slow for it. It's It's
Sounds kind of
helpful actually to move your hands quickly in this stretch because then you don't have to be balanced on 2 points for very long. But then as soon as you get your third tripod foot down, you kind of go through a rebalance between those 3 points. Feel your weight again. For me, this feels real comfortable. How does it feel for you?
comfy, better than it did when I first started.
That's good. Hopefully,
I think my fingers are a little bit tired, especially since I can't put them all the way down and like let my palms take the weight.
okay, right now I've got my palms down to let my fingers relax. Are you able to get to that way?
Yeah, I have to lean back quite a bit, but that's okay then. Yeah, this is pretty comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, don't think, okay, I'm gonna lean back. Just think, I'm gonna let go with my hand, and your weight, gravity does the work of leaning back for you. That way you don't get extra muscles involved in trying to lean back or trying to hold yourself up in between the lean poses, if that makes sense.